Hey guys, it's Jackie. Anyway, I recently watched the first episode of HBO's The Last of Us series, which premiered on January 15th. Um, Oddly enough, on that day is when I went to the emergency room whenever I had trouble breathing, and I just, I thought I was going to die, really. But anyway, thankfully I was able to get some good treatment, and I'm feeling at least a little bit better. A little bit better. So I thought I'd do some kind of video. I've been wanting to get into talking about certain media like movies and TV shows lately. You know, Kind of something adjacent to what I used to do with the Sins review. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of, you know, give my thoughts on the show so far. I mean, I know it's the first episode, but just to just to briefly say, like, I am a huge fan of the Last of Us video game. I've finished it like at least a dozen times over the early days of the coronavirus pandemic. That and a couple of the other Resident Evils. And because I kind of didn't have much else to do, we were in quarantine. But yeah, I kind of really liked it. I liked The Last of Us for mostly its characters and its story development. And I know that whenever you have something so popular, usually they want to, there's filmmakers that want to adapt it into some kind of like live action media, like movies or TV shows in this case. So I'm not going to like summarize the first episode. I'm just going to talk about a few things that I liked, and certain things that, I know are different, but I know there's like, it's a given that there's going to be some creative liberties taken. But anyway, so the first episode kind of starts out with, something that was definitely not in the game. It kind of has, I guess it's like a talk show or something like that, where there's these scientists talking about different types of infections. They bring up fungal infections like the cordyceps, which is the main part of the Last of Us video game. And so they kind of go through a lot of scientific explanations of that, and kind of how, it's, infected ants and other insects, but, it has to, like, it can't survive lower than a certain amount of degree. And, if it's something that's, basically it's just a bunch of scientific stuff. And it was talk about if there was a rise in temperature to where the cordyceps, you know, can survive and thrive and eventually take over its host, and not to really kill it, but to like kind of expand itself, kind of infect others, and kind of just spread. That's kind of the gist that they're setting up a little bit here. Now, getting to kind of the main part of like what the story is, it starts out with Joel, who in this show is played by Pedro Pascal, and his daughter Sarah in the show is played by Nico Parker. And I know, like, she doesn't look like the Sarah from the video game. Uh, Sarah from the video game is blonde and Caucasian, and Nico Parker is, well, I guess, I don't know how to say it, like biracial kind of, and her hair doesn't really look like Sarah's, but really, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to be one of those kind of people there talking about, the. Anyway, so I really, I didn't really have like much of a problem with any of that. I mean, she's a very talented actress. I think she, brings the emotion to the character. And one thing that I think is probably improved upon in this uh, video game adaptation is that her character is a little bit more fleshed out. We see a little bit more of her life going to school and kind of experiencing life kind of outside of what the original game kind of started with. And we kind of just, you know, I think it was very good that the makers of the show decided to do that, and they decided to do something where we actually get to see more of her and get to be a lot more invested. I mean, in the video games, it's still, emotional, and it's, I still love the game, but I know that there's some things that could definitely be improved upon, and I know there's going to be like creative liberties taken, and kind of try to be somewhat original with it while still maintaining some faithfulness to the core story, and subverting expectations from fans of the video games like myself. I I just think that she does her part very well. I think Pedro Pascal, he plays a very good Joel. Him and Nika, their kind of chemistry as a father-daughter relationship, it's definitely very believable, and it's just I think they really did very good. And um, then they have Tommy, who is Joel's brother, played by what was it, Gabriel Luna, I believe. And again, there's the whole thing where it doesn't really look too much like character from the video game or whatnot, but I still think he's talented enough and he plays the part well. And I I don't know if anyone here has played the games. I'm sure you've probably only seen the first episode, or maybe you haven't. And I usually try to avoid spoilers whenever I'm kind of reviewing something. So basically, if you've played the game, you kind of know who Sarah is, and kind of know kind of what leads where. And then, obviously, shit goes down, and the cordyceps virus pandemic kind of starts making things go crazy, and people essentially become adjacent to like zombie type creatures. That's kind of what The Last of Us is sort of about. And it's about, how humankind can, they may struggle against it, but they will persevere. And there's, obviously the poignant storytelling, and the characters are just, they're always phenomenal. And I think the show, at least in this first episode, I'm seeing that there is a lot more fleshing out of certain characters, like and I mean, there's some things that I kind of a little more iffy about, but I'd say mostly in this first episode there's good ones. Like when we do kind of a skip ahead to the 20 years, we kind of get more into what Joel's life was like outside of just kind of working with his partner slash kind of sort of girlfriend. It's not really made explicit in the games, but it kind of insinuates that they may have had a romantic relationship at one point, or at the very least they do kind of have a caring relationship. And it's kind of not really made too terribly much in the video game, but they kind of flesh it out. By the way, Tess is played by Anna Torv. I don't believe I've ever heard of her, but I definitely think, whenever I see her, whenever I hear her, speak and her performance definitely is, it's very much the Tess that I know. I mean, there's obviously some different dialogue put in there, just again for some, creativeness and, still trying to subvert expectations so that, it's not like exactly, it's not like, um, what's it called? It's not like copying the game off specifically, it's like still trying to kind of be its own thing. Um, they do kind of talk about, kind of what work is out there. I mean, this is the point in time where the military kind of takes over because, everybody's, been, thrown into disarray. There's kind of no real structural government to really run things, and there's no cure, there's no vaccine for the cordyceps virus. So, it's kind of one of those dystopian type things where, people kind of have to do what they got to do to survive, and, being monitored by the military isn't too terribly, a good thing. And so it kind of goes more into what Joel was doing aside from like, I'm pretty sure he does drug dealing and stuff. It's like the games. They have like pills. They talk about the pills that they're selling, him and Tess. And the guns, they do basically drug dealing, drug smuggling, kind of contraband stuff and weapons and that kind of thing. That's kind of what their deal is, and it's what they've had to do to survive, and they've obviously been kind of just put in a situation where they have to kind of be hard and a bit harsh and kind of almost to the point of being ruthless, where they can't take shit. They won't take shit from anybody, and they're going to do whatever it takes to survive and to look after each other. And as I mentioned before, it's kind of not made explicit in the video games, but there is kind of a relationship with Joel and Tess. I mean, it definitely seems a lot more loving and caring, especially in the show now, because they're, without giving like too much away, there's like this point where Joel is sleeping in bed, and Tess comes home kind of late at night, and she kind of just snuggles up to him. And so I'm like, I definitely didn't see that in the video game. So it seems like they're really trying to make it seem a lot more like, there's actually a real, kind of connection with them. And it's not like, okay, there might be something, or that, there's a little bit of, not so, I don't know how to say it. It's like, they clearly work together, and they clearly, they live together, and it's like, it's a very complicated situation. But it was never like too terribly explicit in the games. So it seems like they're trying to, in this show, they're trying to make the connections a lot more apparent. And, I guess in a way I kind of appreciate that. And I appreciate some of the extra stuff they have with the introduction of the characters. Then another primary character we have is Ellie, who is a little 14-year-old girl in this show. She's played by Bella Ramsey, who is technically 19 years old, but she kind of passes as a little teenage girl. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, and I know she was from another HBO series, Game of Thrones, I believe. Um, she was in that. So, I mean, I think I may have seen her in a couple other stuff besides that. I mean, I don't know. But she's also very talented. And whenever I, first heard her speak, it's like, oh, wow, she really gets the Ellie character down. Like she's got a potty mouth. She's got a smart mouth. She's like kind of rough and tough, kind of been through the ringer, and you can really tell. And it's like, you know, and that's what we kind of liked about Ellie is that she was kind of a spunk ball of energy. And you know she'd be swearing, and it's like yeah. And I mean, some people they don't like it when children swear. Well, too bad then. But yeah, I definitely like her take on the Ellie character. And we have another primary character, Marlene, um, who is played by. I might have to check this. Sorry about that. It's Merle Dandridge, I believe. She plays Marlene, who is the leader of the Fireflies, which is a rebel force that's, trying to, get rid of this whole government takeover, kind of government dictatorship sort of thing. And basically, yeah, she's one of the other, very major characters, and I think she's portrayed very well. And uh, I think, obviously the casting choice, and again, I don't want to like talk about like, I mean, I know we kind of have to talk about some of the things, but when it comes to like, the race of the characters, like Marlene in the games is actually of African descent, and I think I I don't know. Meryl Dandridge is. I mean, she definitely looks of African descent, African American. But again, aside from all that, is all of the actors they're very talented, and they actually play their roles very well. And I try not to dwell too much on that. I know Nico Parker, like I said earlier, she's very talented, and yeah, she may not look at all like the Sarah from the original video game, but at the very least she she's very talented and she brings the emotion there. So anyway, overall I like where it's going. I mean, I think there are some things that are kind of little little bit of a stretch there, and it's kind of I don't know. There's just certain things, but so far I think it's mostly positive from me. I'm actually pretty excited to see where the series goes and kind of what else they can expand upon from what we've seen in the video games. And hopefully by a couple episodes in, we'll see Joel find a bow like he does in the game. Hopefully it'll be kind of like this recurve, maybe take down kind of, one of those traditional type like this, maybe. I just, because I've said several times before, archery is another one of my passions aside from certain media storytelling like horror, thriller, action, science fiction, and fantasy, those kind of things. um, and I definitely wanted to try to talk a little bit more about my interests aside from archery and stuff. And I know that people can probably debate whether The Last of Us is really a horror game or horror type. I mean, it kind of is, and that's at least how I see it. I'm pretty sure other folks probably agree that it is very much, it's got the survival aspect. It's got zombie type creatures. It's definitely got the atmosphere down, and it's not like, I mean, people, it can also be kind of a action adventure type of game too, but I'd say primarily it's intended to be a little more on the scary side. But and anyway, I think it's definitely open to interpretation. I personally really liked the first episode. I you know may have a few things here and there that I was not too crazy about, but other than that, I will definitely, it definitely seems like I'll continue watching it and see where it goes. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more content. Let me know what your thoughts are on the pilot episode of HBO's The Last of Us series. Also, if you could please check out my book, The SLID Supernatural League of Intelligence and Defense, Terror of the Night. It's my very first novel. I've been working on my second one lately, and so yeah, this is available on Amazon, in ebook or paperback like this. And yeah, check it out, really. Anyway, again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all later.